muscle car that's taken a hard turn into the electric era without sacrificing the aggression, the boldness, or the raw emotion that made it a legend. And yes, Dodge figured out how to make it sound like a real beast too. Let's not sugarcoat it, the idea of an electric Charger made a lot of fans nervous when it was first teased. The Charger has always stood for tire shredding, V8 pounding, burnout king muscle. To say goodbye to the Hemi V8 seemed like sacrilege. But the 2025 Charger Daytona EV isn't trying to replace the old, it's here to evolve it. And in true Dodge fashion, it's loud, unapologetic, and ferociously different. Dodge didn't just slap a battery in the old body. The 2025 Charger rides on Stellantis' new STLA large platform, designed from the ground up for electrification. This isn't a retrofitted relic, it's a purpose-built performance EV. It's wider, lower, and more sculpted than ever. The silhouette still screams Charger, but with sharper lines, modern aero, and a whole new level of attitude. The front end introduces what Dodge calls the R-wing, an aerodynamic pass-through element that evokes the classic muscle car look while improving airflow and downforce. It's a brilliant blend of past and future. And unlike many silent EVs, this Charger has a voice, a wild one. Dodge developed the Fratzonic chambered exhaust system, an industry-first setup that uses amplification and a tuning chamber to simulate the bone-rattling thunder of a Hellcat. It pumps out up to 126 decibels, giving the Daytona EV an aggressive soundtrack worthy of the badge on its nose. Under the skin, the Charger Daytona EV comes in multiple trims, including the base 340 and mid-level 440, named after their approximate power outputs in kilowatts, about 456 and 590 horsepower, respectively. But it's the Banshee trim that truly sets the road on fire. With an 800-volt architecture and over 660 horsepower, the Banshee isn't just fast for an EV, it's built to challenge every supercharged beast that came before it. And yes, Dodge is promising direct connection upgrades for these models, meaning you'll be able to buy software unlocks and performance kits to push your Daytona even further. Think of it like digital bolt-ons for the EV era. Acceleration, absolutely brutal. The Banshee trim promises sub 3.5 second 0 to 60 sprints, with torque so immediate and overwhelming that traction becomes the ultimate limiting factor. Dodge says it's aiming for quarter-mile times to rival its retired Hellcat Red-Eye models. And in typical Charger fashion, it's rear-wheel drive based, with optional all-wheel drive, and it's ready to throw down on the track or the drag strip. Inside, Dodge didn't hold back. The cabin is an entirely new world of performance and tech. The dashboard is aggressively angled toward the driver, evoking cockpit vibes, while the digital instrument cluster and massive infotainment screen are seamlessly integrated with haptic feedback controls and a heads-up display. Materials are modern but muscular, think Alcantara, forged carbon fiber, and thick bolsters on the performance seats. There's even a pistol grip style shifter for that old-school feel. The drive modes are extensive and customizable. You get auto, eco, sport, track, drag, and even a donut mode for those who still enjoy a little sideways fun. Line lock and launch control are built in. This isn't just an EV, it's a track-ready, tech-loaded street weapon. And then there's the eRupt transmission. Yes, you heard that right, an EV with a transmission that shifts. Dodge engineered a multi-speed system to give drivers a visceral gear-changing experience, complete with jolts and audible cues. It may not be necessary for performance, but it adds drama and mechanical sensation in a way that no other EV does. It's not about quiet efficiency, it's about theatrics, torque, and total driver immersion. Charging and range. With an 800-volt architecture, the Daytona EV supports ultra-fast charging, up to 350 kilowatts. That means you can go from 10% to 80% in around 20 minutes at the right station. Dodge hasn't finalized the range numbers, but estimates suggest over 300 miles for most trims, possibly more depending on driving conditions. Not bad for a car that can also light up tires and break necks. Of course, no Charger would be complete without bold colors and throwback cues. The Daytona comes in a host of classic-inspired finishes, including Plum Crazy, B5 Blue, and Destroyer Gray. There are vintage badges, muscular fender lines, and a rear light bar that stretches across the entire width, one part retro, one part Tron. It looks fast, and it looks angry. What Dodge has done here is nothing short of revolutionary. In a time when many automakers are playing it safe with vanilla EV crossovers, the Charger Daytona EV is a bold middle finger to the idea that electric cars have to be boring. Dodge looked at the EV landscape and said, what if it had muscle, menace, and madness? And then they built it. Let's talk competition for a moment. Tesla's Model S Plaid may be quicker in a straight line, but it doesn't sound like anything. It doesn't feel like a muscle car. Ford's Mustang Mach-E GT is cool, but it's still a crossover. The Charger Daytona is the only EV today that tries to be a true muscle car, one that honors the legacy of the 60s and 70s while pointing the way toward the 2030s. It's loud, brash, unapologetic, and proudly American. Even more interesting is the fact that Dodge will also offer a gasoline-powered version of the Charger, based on the same body and platform, with the new inline-6 Hurricane engine. But the Daytona EV is clearly the halo, the one pushing the boundaries. It's worth noting that Dodge listened to its fans. The backlash to killing the V8 was real, and instead of ignoring it, they found creative ways to honor that legacy through sound, feel, design, and attitude. This isn't a beige future of silent transportation, it's an electric adrenaline machine. Will purists accept it? That depends on what you love most about muscle cars. If it's just the sound of a V8 and the smell of burning gas, this might not win you over. But if what you truly love is the feeling of raw, unfiltered power, brutal acceleration, and a car that looks like it wants to pick a fight, the 2025 Charger Daytona EV might just surprise you. Dodge isn't trying to make you forget the past, they're trying to make sure it's remembered, electrified, and made even faster. The Daytona name itself is sacred, tied to one of the most legendary muscle cars ever built. It's fitting, then, that it returns now not just as a badge, but as a symbol of transformation, of what muscle cars can become without losing their muscle. So what do we really have here? We have a 21st century Charger that still feels like a burnout machine, still flexes its street presence, and still makes people look twice when it rolls by. Only now, it does it with electrons instead of gasoline. It's rebellious, it's crazy, and it's pure Dodge. And we've only just scratched the surface. Expect more trims, more power, and more chaos as Dodge continues to fine-tune this beast. The Banshee might just be the beginning of a new muscle war, one fought in kilowatts instead of cubic inches. So whether you're mourning the V8 era or looking for your next jolt of performance excitement, the 2025 Charger Daytona EV is impossible to ignore. It's a shock to the system in every sense of the word. And it proves that electrification doesn't have to mean the end of the muscle car, it might just be its next evolution. Thanks for riding with us today on Here Channel, where we don't just review cars, we bring legends back to life. Make sure to hit that like button if this electric Charger shocked your expectations, and subscribe for more full-throttle content on the newest rides rewriting history. Until next time, keep your wheels spinning and your spirits high. This is Here Channel, signing off.